All right, welcome to solving systems of equations using elimination, the beginner level. I'm going to start with an example that you're familiar with. It's the wire problem from that beloved word problem you had back in the fall. We had two pieces of wire. One of them is 5 longer than the other, so we have a difference of x minus y equals 5. And together they make 63 centimeters. X plus y equals 63. So I'm going to copy these two equations over into my workspace. And I'm going to use the elimination method. Now, the nice thing about this situation is I can use the elimination method either way and then not have to do any substituting. So the first step is I'm going to subtract first. I'm going to subtract both equations from each other, and I'm going to end up with x minus x is nothing, and y minus negative y is 2y, and 63 minus 5 is going to be 58, and then y, we divide both sides by 2, y will equal 29, because 58 divided by 2 is 29. Okay, now I'm going to do the same equations. In this case, I'm going to add them. When I add them, I'm going to end up with 2x, y plus negative y is nothing, and 63 plus 5 is 68. I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2, and x equals 34. Okay, so I have a solution now. My larger piece of wire is 34 centimeters. My shorter piece of wire is 29. So 34, 29 is my solution. And then I can do all the other monkey business I needed to do to figure out the difference in the areas of the squares. I'd find out the square of side length by quartering that and quartering that. I'd square what I got when I quartered it. I'd square when I got when I quartered it, and I'd get the difference. But that's another video. If you want me to do that, I will. Just let me know in the comments. Now I'm going to deal with another situation where it's reasonably simple. And the reason these are relatively simple is if I add or subtract, if I look at the coefficients of these, I can either add or subtract, and one of those is going to eliminate a variable. Now adding these will end up getting rid of the x's, and I'll be left with y stuff that I can work with. Subtracting will not get rid of anything, so I need to pay attention to which one will eliminate a variable. That's why it has that fancy name, so creative, elimination. Okay, so I'm going to give myself some space, and I'm going to add these two equations because my coefficients, I have two coefficients that are the opposite of each other, so they'll cancel out if I add them. So x plus negative x is doodly squat. 3y plus 4y is 7y, and 7 plus 7 is 14. To get rid of this times 7-ness, I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides. And you can see pretty easily that y is going to equal 2. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to plug it into one of the equations. I'm going to replace y with it. I'll replace y here. And let's solve. So this is going to become x plus 6 equals 7. I subtract 6 from both sides. And I get x equals 1. So my solution is 1, 2. That's my solution for that one. Okay, Time for one more example here. Get that business out of my way. Okay, go to the next page so I have room to work. So I'm going to deal with number 12. You might have noticed the last one was number 11. Number 11, and now I'm dealing with number 12. All right, so I look at these two equations. I'm going to copy them into my workspace. And I need to decide, am I adding or am I subtracting? And I've got two options. I could add and get rid of the y's, or I could subtract and get rid of the x's. I'm going to start by subtracting and get rid of the x's and solve for y. So when I do that, I end up with nothing on the x term, so 6x minus 6x is nothing, but negative 3y minus 3y is negative 6y, and 18 minus negative 12 is 30, so I divide both sides by negative 6, and I end up with y equals negative 5, because 30 divided by negative 6 is negative 5. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the same equations down in my workspace here, and instead of subtracting, I'm going to add them, because if I add them, I can get rid of both negative 3y and positive 3y. So when I add them, I get 12x equals 18 plus negative 12 is 6, and I divide both sides by 12, and x equals 6 over 12, which equals 1/2. So my solution is 1/2 negative 5. And there we go.